Welcome back, everybody, to, well, we'll call it the Escape Collective Classics Flanders preview. That's going to happen over the next roughly 30, 40 minutes. It is currently Thursday, ahead of the Tour of Flanders. I'm sitting down in a beautiful lobby of the NH Ghent Belfort Hotel here in Ghent. To my left, we just met in person for the first time ever. Had a lovely hug, and Kit is taller than I thought she'd be. Kit Nicholson, welcome.
It's very good to be here.
And to her left, Johnny Long, welcome back.
I'm back and reportedly smaller than expected, which is crushing.
Yeah, that was my bad. I'm sorry, Johnny.
Crushing.
I should say the context here is, we work together all the time, right? We're on Zoom calls all the time. We're chatting together all the time. We're working together all the time. But a lot of us haven't actually met previously, and so we're doing that, a bunch of us, for the first time this week, which is very exciting. To my right, finishing his written preview for EscapeCollective.com, Dane Cash.
Sorry, boss. I'm busy writing here. You're gonna have to let me keep doing that.
Dane is taller than I expected.
He's a big man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dane is like a man.
I
I'm
feel
not
like
a man. I'm a boy.
I don't.
Dane
feel like
is
that
a
at
man.
all. I don't. This is because I brought a beard to Belgium.
Yes, I was going to say, he's looking
all.
rather
Okay.
Viking and
That's
large.
all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And this beard has a lot of white in it. So.
Yeah, but these days that's like more
is
stoic
distinguished,
than
yeah.
like old. I think.
Oh, thank you, John.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're welcome, Dane.
It's great to meet you and to learn that you're so nice.
All right, let's get into it. We got a fair amount to talk about. We're going to preview the Tour of Flanders today. We're going to do a little bit on the women's race, a whole bunch of the men's race. Of course, if you want more preview of the women's race, head over to the Wheel Talk podcast with Abby and crew. Dane, I think we're going to kick off with the route. Actually, maybe what we should do for folks who listen to lots of our podcasts is we should do a small corrections corner from placeholders this week, which is required because in our mini preview, we listed folks like Wout van Aert perhaps as...
Guys, I take 1 week off.
We can't see the future. Yeah, I don't know that we need to correct ourselves. We just need to point out that events happened.
Yeah, well, part of the problem was that by the time we actually published it,
Yeah.
he had already crashed.
Which wasn't. We didn't. It's not like we published it like a week late. It's just we happened to do a podcast right before Dwars of Vlaanderen, which, in hindsight, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we'll know better.
Well, we'll get to the contenders in a little bit. The route preview, if you will. We start in Antwerp. We finish in Oudenaarde. What happens in between?
So the race lately likes to go from switching from Bruges to Oudenaarde and then Antwerp to Oudenaarde. They go back and forth. This year is the Antwerp to Oudenaarde variety. Most of the important stuff that viewers at home will care about is not going to be very different from what you have seen the past several years. There have been some changes made. So first of all, obviously the road from Antwerp to Oudenaarde is different from the road to Bruges to Oudenaarde, but once we then get down towards all those famous cobbled climbs, you do have a couple of changes for what the organizers have called safety reasons. And in a couple of ways, there's a slight rerouting in between some of the cobbles and climbs to actually help the car traffic. And then there's also they're skipping the Canarieberg this year, which
Ironically,
yeah,
they didn't skip on Dwars
Fateful
Yes.
Wednesday.
on the fateful Wednesday.
So-
Should we say what happened there briefly?
we probably
That's
should.
probably a good
Because
idea.
we've
since
just
it didn't
referenced-
happen.
Kit, what happened?
There was I was in a car. I didn't actually see
I
it.
watched it. I actually watched it.
All right, Johnny.
So 70 kilometers ago, there was a crash with Lawrence Rex and another guy. Looked quite nasty. And then 2 kilometers later, 68 kilometers ago, huge pile up with more top riders than you're usually accustomed to seeing in those crashes. Usually, maybe there's one and then a whole bunch of lesser riders is not the nice term to use, but
Domestiques.
it's true. Domestiques, let's say.
imagine breaking your collarbone and having Johnny call you a lesser rider that same day.
Bike racing is brutal,
You
Dane. No, but then there was Wout van Aert went down, Biniam Girmay went down, Mads Pedersen went down, Jasper Stuyven went down. The big news is Wout van Aert is now out of Tour of Flanders and Roubaix and Amstel Gold. He broke a sternum, 7 ribs, collarbone.
I am fearful for Wout van Aert, and I have so when I heard that his sternum was done, that's supposed to be one of the most painful bones to have damage to in the whole human body. And the actor Adam Driver,
Yeah.
He had enlisted in
Like
the
Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you'd like to go that way, yeah.
The baddie?
I might say Patterson guy because I'm that way inclined.
But you would, yeah. I would say Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
It's like my dad. But yeah, so Adam Driver had enlisted in the army in the U.S. Marines and then broke his sternum in a mountain bike accident and was discharged. He was done. He was deemed unfit for service. So the recovery is serious, basically. So it's not just you hear a broken collarbone or ribs. A bike rider is going to be back in 2 weeks, probably, or at least they're going to be training again in 2 weeks. Sternum it'd be interesting to see what they say and when he's going to be back and whether he's even at the Giro.
Well, I don't think he's going to be at the Giro, and I unironically thought he was a serious winner contender for the Giro. I don't think he's going to lie about it all he wants. I think he actually kind of wanted to win it, and obviously I don't think that's going to happen now. Which is a huge bummer.
I ironically thought he was a contender for the Giro.
I see.
Do you think the US Marines are kicking themselves having not seen Adam Driver wield a lightsaber?
Oh, that's a good
It
show.
would be a good marketing tool for them, probably. Yeah.
All right, so no Van Aert,
No.
What we don't know Bess Peterson. They think he's going
Peterson
to
and
race.
William Guimaraes are on the provisional start.
They
Sorry,
are on the
we-
provisional
we
start
got
list.
ahead of ourselves.
But yeah, by the time you get to this, we are we getting ahead of ourselves?
We're a little bit getting
No,
ahead of
but
ourselves.
the point
but,
the
yeah.
point
But
brought
it's still
up
the
is because
crash.
this
climb is
the climate
gone.
is that's the descent off it
Yeah,
where
it's
the
set.
crash happened. It's been taken out of the Tour of Flanders, which seems
Yep.
like a sensible idea. The question remains of why it was in
Why it was
Dwars,
still in
right?
Dwars, yeah.
I believe is a question that Joe wants to ask Mr.
Yeah.
Copeland, who is the race director.
8 a.m.
for
outside
Flanders.
the race director's door. Joe's
Yeah.
just going to be kicking it down.
I should say that Joe is currently sitting across from us on a sofa,
Yes.
drinking a Leffe
Paparazzi.
like a good man.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
Dan.
hopefully that will reduce the likelihood of some race-altering crashes at this race, which, there could very well still be those things because there's plenty of cobbles and climbs. There are...
Was the issue with the Canary just the speed, just the high
I think
speed?
it's because there are crucial climbs after it. I couldn't tell you what they are, but from what I read about it, once I got back from Scotland, it's the fact that it's a bit like that kind of preparation for a bunch sprint where everyone's fighting for position. It's slightly downhill.
lead-outs, kind of,
Yeah,
except
exactly.
it's
So
way
everyone's-
out from the finish.
Yeah, but it's 68 kilometers out, but it's a little bit downhill. It's quite wide, so everyone can be at the front if they want to be. So so they were going at 50 miles per hour, and they hit the deck very hard just before the crucial part where Matteo Jorgensen attacked.
And I think when they look back at previous editions, they realize that not much really happens at that point. Like, there's no big race.
So what's the point
altering
of
things.
having
So what's the
it?
point of having it
Yeah,
if it's just
right.
a risk? Yeah.
For those wondering about the metrics, there are at the Tour of Flanders this year. There are going to be 7 cobbled sectors that are not climbs, and then 17 climbs, many of which are cobbled. So this year's race, once you hit the Koppenberg, I believe, which is the 12th of the Hellingen, from there on out, I think it's the same as what we're used to, and that's going to be Steenbeek Dries, the Tyenberg, the Ode Kreuzberg, and then the famous and awesome, and I think wonderful, even though a lot of people miss the old Finnish Koremont Paterberg double, where the race is generally, although not always, decided between those double climb.
Is the mirror still gone?
It is. That's what Omloop is for.
It's just sad.
Yeah.
Kaylee looks very sad right now.
Yeah.
There's reasons for it.
I'm
I
not
think they
angry. I'm
involve
just
money.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Or is it a money thing?
I think money's
They
part
won't
of it.
pay to have it up there.
I think they like the fact that they can have large tents for the
Yes,
VIPs
the Vips.
on the Koremont
The
and
VVIPs.
Paterberg area.
I see.
It was quite fun last year.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss the fact that they had this iconic old climb, but
As you say, it is at Omloop.
They had it like 100K out, and that was,
Yeah.
fine. Like, just a little nod to history.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're
Reasons-
well, let's
Maybe it'll
get
be
Joe to
back.
ask that too. More questions. Yeah.
For his new best friend.
Yeah.
All right, so not a whole lot changes in the
In
Tour of
terms of the
Flanders route.
decisive stuff. No.
Yeah, not a whole lot changes in terms of the decisive stuff. We'll maybe get into later in the show the bits that we think might be particularly decisive this year. Won't surprise you, I don't think. Maybe we'll just place some bets on which of the final 2 climbs someone's going to go free on. Should we get into the contenders?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a leading question.
we should.
Okay. We call that a leading question, Dane. Yes. Can we get into the contenders, please? So we have
Yes.
no Wout van Aert. We have question marks over Mads Peterson. Crashed on the ground at 50 miles an hour,
at least
80k an hour,
finished.
whatever it was. He's on the provisional start list, but I mean, I've never fallen off the bike at speeds like that, but I can tell
Hashtag
you,
free Toms.
we
Free
would
Toms.
not want
Yeah.
to would not want to race a bike less than a week later. Benny Girmay kind of a similar position at the moment. That leaves who?
Not Tadej Pogacar, the reigning champion.
Kit had to
Pogacar's
tell me on
not
the
there.
train that he's not racing this year.
It's I mean, Mathieu van der Poel, isn't it?
Seems like it's him versus everyone else, I think.
Yeah, and after coming second to Mads Pedersen on last weekend, he is going to do everything he can to get to the finish solo. So he's going to go all out, and it's going to be just a question of how many kilometers he wins by.
It's a very rare occurrence that really any race, but particularly a one-day race, will have an odds-on favorite. A favorite who is shorter odds than the entire field.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
does
yeah.
right now. And that I think
I think Sagan's the last one you can go back to and find that.
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, which is now, I mean, I'm talking Sagan of like 2016, 17
Yeah.
at the latest, yeah.
Maybe Valverde at Liège sometimes, but that race
That's
doesn't
not even
exist
a
to
race.
you. So,
yeah.
Van der Poel, though, I would say, despite the fact that he's clearly way more of a favorite than any other individual rider in the field, I don't know if I take the field over him because sometimes he runs hot and cold. And
Yeah, you never. It's
his team, like, can he really rely on all of his teammates to chase down the many attacks by a Visma squad that, yes, is missing Wout van Aert, but still has a bunch of hitters?
Little Trek have got Tim de Klerk back.
Yeah. There's a lot of other good teams, and I don't know that Alpecin de Koenig has that ability to chase down all those attacks. So, I don't know. I mean, I think Van der Poel's clearly the favorite, but yeah, I don't
And
know.
if Jasper Philipsen is he there? Yeah, it's just,
But
There's
can
there's the co-leadership question.
can
Is
he
it,
make it over the
ooh,
last two
yeah,
climbs?
yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
I cannot see Philipsen getting
No.
over the Clermont Paterberg.
is hard.
Yeah.
Not at the
That's a
front.
steep climb.
No.
Yeah.
It's not like the push.
I could see it like, okay, so you come over the Paterberg and you know, someone's solo that's not Van der Poel, and it all comes back together.
Sure, yeah.
Right. Like it's a group of 12. I could see him making that finale, but if it's any smaller than that, I don't see him.
EF
getting there.
looked good yesterday in the post-race highlights I saw. I know that there was the crash and that kind of made everything a little bit different, but they did look, they looked strong.
All right, so we have the number one rider, which is Mathieu Van der Poel.
Van der Poel by a mile.
By a mile. I still think that we may end up with kind of it changes the dynamic when he's the only one
Yes.
of the big few in the race. It does change the dynamic considerably, and maybe not in his favor because he's
agree.
the only one that
Totally.
everyone's looking at, as opposed to like, I have to watch this guy, and I have to watch this guy, and I have to watch this guy. I only have to watch him, right? So it does change things. So he's the number one solo rider. What's the best team in the race?
I feel like it's still probably either Little Trek or Visma,
little.
even with their losses. So Visma lost Wout van Aert. The big loss for Visma was Wout van Aert, and the big loss for Little Trek was Jasper Stuyven, both of whom had some
And we
serious
don't know how damaged
fractures.
Mads Pedersen is.
And we have no idea about Mads Pearson. But they still have strong teams. And I don't know that Alpecin, even with the losses that they suffered, is as good as those teams. And Little Trek and Visma have the two other sort of second-tier favorites on their teams. Mads Peterson, who could be perfectly fine. And if he's perfectly fine, then he could be a real contender.
Yeah, them not saying anything could be very good tactics.
I think it's a great plan. Yeah.
Yeah, Visma's new number one rider for their squad. Should we enter the what do we call it before when we were planning? It wasn't America Corner. What was it? To talk about our favorite.
Yeah, we're hopefully we're playing the national anthem right now in the background
Yeah.
to lead up to this. Although I did love
What was
hearing
it
the
called?
Counting Crows cover of Big Yellow Taxi. That was great. I don't know if the listeners could hear that, but
Yeah, there is some music in the background of this episode. So if you hear just bits of song missing, you know what Will cut out as he was editing the
Oh, I see.
episode.
Anyway, what I was trying to reference there was Matteo Jorgensen.
Jorgensen.
Well done.
Yes.
Dane's already wistfully dreaming of, wouldn't it be amazing if we were at Flanders,
In Flanders to
to
see it?
see an American winner?
Man, that would be great.
Frick damn.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I do love the Matteo Jorgensen. I mean, he was good at Movistar, but he's gone to a team that is just drowning in leaders,
Yes.
and he's flying. And it doesn't always happen, so you get a rider going to a new team, and they're good, but they don't get to fly.
His
and he
versatility
does.
in particular, I mean,
Yeah.
as esteemed as Skip Collective Editor-in-Chief Kelly Fretz wrote this week. You don't often win Paris-Nice and a one-day classic. That is really impressive.
And he didn't do it by accident. He's been very, very good in all
Yeah,
the classics,
exactly.
either side of Paris-Nice.
Yeah.
He just gets it done. Just like the opportunity opens up, and he's like, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
Is he the leader of the team?
I would think he is. 'cause,
Yeah.
look
He's
at
got
his
the
Benoit-
number one bib.
Benoit's the other one, the other guy for that team. But Benoit's never had that same level of success at that actually winning races. He's
Yeah.
often in and around, there or thereabouts, as my British friends like to say.
Yeah.
The only like big win that he's got, and it's a big one, is Strade Bianche. But like other than that, he generally does not actually contend for the wins.
Yeah, he's been a very good foil.
Yes.
I've used that like 6 times in stories recently. I really need to stop.
I haven't actually
Yeah.
read any of them, which is maybe good, but maybe not so good for the sake of this podcast.
Just don't say it. Yeah. Yeah.
Question: if I can actually ask everyone around here, Jared, Joe, Dane, and Kaylee, if Jorgensen does win and the American anthem plays, will you A, sing, B, take your hat off? Will you face the flag? Will you shed a tear?
Will your
Before any of
All
us
of the
answer-
above.
will you put your hand on your chest?
Before
Yeah.
any of us answer, for my Belgium roommate here, I'd like to point out that he does not hail from the United States of America.
Really?
Nope.
Is he Canadian?
He is from our friends to the north.
He's a queen.
This is like me. This is like calling Kit English.
He's an English-speaking Quebecois.
Don't go calling me English.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jared.
I'm also a friend from the north.
So I'm sorry.
I grew up just across the border in Vermont, and that's what we used to call them. Very derogatory, and so I do apologize.
That's because they were mean to you in restaurants.
But
though,
that's
wasn't
because
it?
you guys pretended you didn't know what tipping was when you came down, and you definitely know what tipping is.
Sorry, Jared.
I know that's
Okay, so Jared,
We're
you'll
just
be in our
confusing the
camp.
listeners
You'll be in
now.
our camp with not singing the anthem.
Yeah.
I
So-
will be
so
singing
it's-
the anthem. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
same. I mean,
rip
I'm
off
kind of
my
tempted.
Sweater and underneath will be red, white, and blue American
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah.
Will it be painted on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's getting a
on my
bit.
chest.
That's getting a bit political there, though, isn't it? That
A
little-
little.
no genuine question. Like joking aside,
Yeah,
joking
will you
aside,
sing the anthem?
will you, Dane? If we're standing there and Matteo Jorgensen is up on the podium and the national anthem
If
is
it plays,
playing,
ooh, at least a hand over a heart.
is there a tear?
You know, maybe a tear. Yeah.
Is there a
Like
small
Super
tear?
Bowl tear?
It's not even because of the patriotism so much as like me being happy that there's a reason for American cycling fans to care.
Yeah,
which
that's
has
a
been
good
so
point,
long.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
To
don't.
care without guilt.
Yeah, I don't love going home and talking about what I do to people who don't know, and they literally the only thing they know is Lance and the Tour de France.
I could stand behind you and like rush up and make a whooshing sound to sort of make it sound like the fighter jets going over the top.
Yeah, love it. I mean,
I won't shed a tear, but I could absolutely see taking my hat off.
yeah,
Which is like I'm definitely not a nationalistic person, and I wouldn't even consider myself a particularly patriotic person most of the time. But you know, there are certain things that
Yeah,
just,
I
that
think
just
this is-
stir the heartstrings. You know,
Can
I
we
was
still
thinking the
call him
last
an
2
underdog?
months.
I was about to say I would just cheer for the underdog, but he's not really an underdog
no,
anymore,
I think
is
he is.
Yeah?
Everybody's an
Oh,
underdog
everyone's
compared
an
to
underdog
Vanderpool.
except
Yeah.
for one.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit. This is going to be in the preview that I guess I have to write now that Kelly has teed me up. But Joe brought this up as well off mic. How Vanderpool
you had to write it anyway, Dave.
Wait, did I? Vanderpool is going to be the favorite here, and like that is something that actually him being odds on as a favorite is not something he's had to deal with that often in the past. The pressure of that. Yes, he's a superstar, but it's usually him with a bunch of other or a couple of other guys,
yeah.
Except on the cyclocross field.
which I didn't really consider when I.
It's
when
a
I
very
said that.
different kettle of fish. It's a 1 hour hit effort. It's but he turns up at a cyclocross race, especially this past season. He's going to win it. The only time he didn't win it, he fell off his bike quite spectacularly. He came fourth without a saddle.
So,
yeah.
I think anyone who rocks up to races in what color was that Lambo?
It's kind of
Was it brown?
Depends.
Like brown,
it was
gold?
kind of a blue. It was the blue and black dress thing. It was either brown or gold.
Yeah, it was like
Oh.
brown
Good
gold,
reference.
like brown gold
Like a
Lambo.
Belgian
I think
gold.
anybody who
Can't be too
rocks up to a
flashy.
race
Muddy gold.
Yeah,
in
bloody gold.
a brown/gold Lambo is not going to succumb to pressure.
No.
That's a great shout.
The telltale will be if he's like in his pre-interview press comments, whatever. If he's like, "Oh, you know, the legs are feeling a bit. I'm not sure." That's when you know that he's going well.
Oh yeah,
and if he turns up in white shorts,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Because people listen to the podcast for the banter. Can I banter real quick? Kit, you just said that's a great shout, and I want you to know that in the airport on the way over here, Kaylee called something a great shout. Oh no, it was at lunch the other day. Kaylee called something a great shout, and our waiter said, "I've never heard that before."
Was this in? Oh,
Really?
this is in America.
And
This is
Kaylee
in
said,
Boulder.
"Oh, that's a British term. Our British friends say it." And this person said, "Oh, I love it. I'll have to use it now."
So we're
So
spreading
we're
it.
spreading your lingo.
There we go.
Process.
This process.
Yeah.
The new
process.
world isn't dead yet.
There you
We're
go.
gonna get back.
So that's a good shout that you said that. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Did you like? Did you hear earlier? You were late, Dame, but we described we're going to sit outside to record this podcast. And we said, "Oh, it looks a bit nippy out there."
Oh, it does
That's
actually.
it.
Yeah.
Does look nippy?
Cracking British phrase.
Cracking.
We use nippy.
Do you
We
use
do use
nippy?
nippy. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
but
chili?
I grew up in New England where we use more
Yeah.
language closer to you guys than
S-
elsewhere in
funny that.
America.
Hmm.
Yeah.
New England.
New and improved. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hot takes.
You've got no Scotland in America, right?
I guess that would be like Maine.
Well, that's in Canada.
There we
Literally.
go.
Or the Quebecois.
Well, they have Nova
Yeah.
Scotia. That's what it's literally.
Yeah.
It's Nova Scotia.
Is that what it is?
Of course.
Yeah.
Nova
Jesus.
Scotia,
Latin.
New Scotland.
Come on. You went to school at some point. Should
Why have
some
I
point,
never
yeah.
connected those dots? That's a stupid. Yeah. Anyway.
we talk about some of the non-favorites?
Yeah. Well,
Wow, that's
Like-
even worse than lesser riding. I want to throw a name. I want to throw out Tom Squinch.
Oh yeah.
I want to throw out
Free Toms.
Mate Mohoric, Fred Wright, Oya Lozcano.
Johnny loves a
He
Fred,
stole that
Fred
from
Wright.
me from the train.
I did.
You stole.
He stole Oya
Lozcano?
Lozcano.
Yeah.
I put Oya Lozcano into the ring. When we were
Now
trying to
he's
work
mine.
out.
So, theory.
Uh-oh.
I mentioned before that the sort of singular focus on Vanderpool reminded me of the singular focus on Peter Sagan in the post Cancellara, post Boonen era. So there was like a couple years there where he was just the only guy, right? And
Craig Van Avermaet is crying somewhere, right?
yeah, but like
While
that's
swimming.
why. So if you're like, well, how did Alberto Bettiol win? Like that's it's this dynamic, right? And so I actually wonder if we end up with a quite kind of
Yeah.
adolescent
Jan
Jan
Tratnik
winner.
like winner.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
Jan Tratnik winner,
And
or
it's-
like another Bettiol.
It won't be
Yeah.
a nobody. It won't be some
No, because
No.
he's still-
rando. It'll be somebody good who's second or third tier.
Josh
yeah.
Darling.
But like not even
He rolled past that hotel when
He
we
did.
arrived. Yeah.
First rider we've seen.
Looking
so-
happy, very happy.
But not MS Peterson, maybe. Somebody below,
No.
maybe below that in the pecking order.
Can we talk about Josh Tarling at Dwarves real quick?
Yeah, that was insane.
He's
He just
good.
sat 50 meters behind a group of 5 riders for like an hour.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
pretty
good
fun.
training. It was
Yeah.
like Isaac Del Toro thing where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll do this for training purposes.
Just dangling.
Yeah.
He's also big,
He's enormous.
He's enormous.
but I've met him in real life, and he's regular sized.
That's because he's a child when you met him.
You think he's grown that? Your theory is that he's grown
He's
that
like
much in 2 years.
6'4".
Yeah, but so if you met him before,
He was sitting down. Did he stand up?
See,
That seems
you're
like
going,
a key
you're going off
detail.
my logic. You're going
yeah,
off Zoom logic.
yeah.
I think Tarling may fall into that category that riders like Taylor Finney used to fall into, where they're actually a little bit too big
Too
for
big.
Flanders.
Yeah, Roubaix.
And
Well,
he
then
could
let's-
do some real
let's
damage
Have
at
another Brit
Paris-Roubaix.
and say Ben Turner,
Yeah.
who was doing pretty. He was there and there or thereabouts. There we go. See,
Yeah.
last
That's a
year,
great
and
phrase.
he has been playing near the front the past couple of weeks.
I thought
All right.
you were gonna say he's gonna do a Taylor Finney, take a bunch of edibles, and go and make music without lyrics somewhere in Spain.
I mean,
Also cool.
Maybe. I
could
don't
do
know.
that.
All right, let's bring this back around a little bit. We've been slightly meandering
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I think we're all a little bit jet lagged. I think we're all a little bit excited to be here. your Kit's jumper.
She's incepted.
Literally says meander on it, which is great. No, we've been meandering a little bit. I'm going to pull it back. So we've talked about the key core favorite in Vanderpool. Who are 2, 3, 4, 5?
So I think it's Peterson
Mm-hmm.
and Jorgensen, which is kind of wild
Yeah.
because I don't know that I can think of in my entire life a time where an American has been this much of a classics favorite.
Like
Nelson Powell is
Hincapi
close.
at
Yeah,
Roubaix.
last year.
But was he ever ahead of the race, the second or third favorite? I don't know. This is pretty cool
Yeah.
for
He
American
He is.
fans.
He is properly. He's going to be. Yeah, he's going to be up there.
Who else?
Isn't he?
Mohoric.
Bettiol's doing well.
Joe.
Benoit, Stefan Kung is the big one for Groupama.
That was cool seeing him at Dwars actually.
great. Yeah.
At the pointy end. Yeah, that was good.
Casper Asgreen for the team that used to win these races.
That would be great
Great
if
step.
he could.
Someone from
shove it
Uno
back in.
X. They're looking pretty good. They're putting
Oh, yeah.
putting
I'm
very
breakaway.
impressed with
Abramson?
Yeah, yeah.
Abramson.
Yeah.
Rasmus Tiller wasn't doing badly.
Lascano, you already mentioned him. Valentin Madouas, another one. Yeah.
God, I would love a Spanish winner of Flanders.
That'd be
Oh
awesome.
my goodness,
Wouldn't
how
that
good
be
would that
fun?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Confusion
just
would reign.
fun?
He's still got his. He's still brandishing his Eau de Quaremont, one of that big kind of Magnum bottle that they get on the podium. He was showing it off on Movistar Stories, I think, the other day. So he's not, he won the Spanish Strade Bianchi.
Cascajen.
Yes.
There we go.
Imagine that press conference after if Lazcano wins. Does he
yeah.
speak English?
know.
Do we know? So if he
We'll-
doesn't, then you got a whole Belgian
We'll all take
press
a day
room.
off and
Yeah,
Dane,
you got
Dane
an
will just have a
entire
field
room
day.
full of Belgian
That'd be
reporters,
great.
Dutch reporters who all
Crying.
speak perfect English but do not really speak Spanish. And Hoodie isn't here.
Oh, is he not? Dane's
No.
here.
Dane's the king of the
Dane's
world.
here. Dane's the only one that can ask
I did that
questions.
for Fernando Gaviria at a race.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember where, was it Richmond? No, wouldn't have been Richmond. Anywhere, where? Oh, Tour California.
Yeah.
He was on stage and like,
No one-
somehow nobody at the Tour California, which has more Spanish speakers in that state than like half of Spain. But like, yeah, it was amazing that I was apparently the only person who could help translate that.
In that
I don't know.
Udinard press room, the sea is just going to part, and then it's just going to be flanked, and Dane just walks
There we
down.
go.
It's like,
it
I
just-
can help.
To me, it feels like at Tour California they should have known better. But yeah, maybe
Matteo
let's-
Jorgensen might be able to do it.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that would be fun. All right, so Van der Poel, and we've got this whole list of other names. If we're going to go off of the, somebody out of left field,
The Jan
theory,
Tratnik hole.
who are the picks? No one's allowed to pick Van der Poel.
Can I pick Tom's?
Who are the
Yeah.
left field? Yeah.
I'm going Tom's.
All right, so Kit's got
Straight in.
Tom's. Who are the left field picks? Is it left field? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It's a
You know that
baseball
one?
thing.
I
We
don't
got left
really
field.
understand
Yeah, we got
the
left
context, but we
Okay.
use
I didn't know
it.
it's from baseball.
Yeah.
Left field's where you go when you're bad at baseball.
Why do you have to
That's
go?
harsh, but it's
What?
true.
To,
Yeah.
Harsh, but
as
true.
as in when you're catching.
Yeah. So like you get sent
'Cause
out
no
there
one hits
because,
it there?
because no one hits it there.
When you
Right-
hit
right-
the ball, well, they hit it there often, but you don't need to have a strong. This is baseball talk. Nobody's going to care. You don't need
Inside
to have a
baseball.
strong arm because you're
not that far
going
away.
to get anybody out at first, which is the opposite side of the field.
Ah.
And the fast outfielders go to the center field. So you're the outfielder who's the worst usually.
Yep.
There we go. That was,
I
that
played a
was
lot of left
baseball
field in
talk.
my
you go.
history.
If you are ready for the Escape Collective baseball podcast, I'm ready to make it.
I am not.
Whenever you're ready, boss.
I didn't even play t-ball as a kid. I'm just lost.
Well, that's
completely.
un-American.
Played soccer.
Okay,
Definitely
left field,
un-American.
left field picks. What about a bit of Michael Matthews?
Ooh.
What about Michael Matthews?
Milan San Remo Matthews.
Flanders is so much harder than Milan San Remo.
Oh yeah.
It's the easiest. Milan San Remo is the easiest race on the calendar, don't you know?
Like Milan San Remo is a 9-minute effort and a 6-minute effort, like bleed out your eyeballs hard.
At the end of 6 hours of nothing.
Yeah, but Flanders is just like, in terms of sort of energy expenditure, I don't know if Matthews still has it.
My left field pick is always Fred Wright, but if I keep on picking him, he's going to get a restraining order on me. So that's why I went for Michael Matthews. But he got top 10.
Yeah?
And him and Mohoric, like that's a pretty strong duo. That's probably
like Mohoric.
Is that the
I like-
second best team duo after Mads Pedersen,
Pretty
Tom
good
Squinch?
duo, and it's a duo that could do something that people will be like,
And Jonathan
Yeah.
Milan on
Milan
Little Trek
is
as well.
really
Oh,
impressing
yeah.
me lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
just don't
So
go
that's
too early.
Milan is going to be my left field pick because I'm sort of basing that off a slightly larger group. So like a lot of just
sprint.
negative racing team dynamic stuff that keeps Van der Poel on a short leash, basically. And I should say that I don't think this is the most likely scenario, but in that
Outfield.
scenario,
It's a left field pick.
it's a left field pick. I think Milan, well, we know he has a really good sprint and he's been riding incredibly well. And I wish that his head would bob a little bit less when he sprints, but maybe he'll work on that. And
he has his own gravity field. It's difficult.
his what?
He has his own gravity field. He's huge.
He's enormous.
It's science.
I feel like we've said that about a bunch of riders as of late, like in the last 10 minutes.
We've also
It is the
about
classics.
ourselves.
Yeah, they tend to be larger.
Yeah, so that's my pick, Milan. Dane?
Ooh, left field? I don't know. How left field is Matej Mohoric? He's won a monument already, but he's not Matthew Van der Poel. Does he count as left
Yeah.
field? That's my pick.
That's
for
Everyone's
so.
left field except Van der Poel.
Yeah.
And
I
maybe
want
Pedersen.
Stefan Kung to be the other. I'd
I'd
Yeah.
love to see him do.
He's on my fake team, so it's important to me that he does well.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
yeah.
That would
Don't
be like
get-
the heart
don't-
victory, wouldn't it? Of like,
great.
That's like a Pinot Tour stage sort of
Any
answer.
French winner ever is seems like a good one.
Yeah.
He's not French.
Any French-speaking winner on a French team. Sorry, you're right. That's
Oh,
a good
yeah,
catch.
he's not French, he's
not
Swiss.
Ken. He's not
Swiss.
but he does speak perfect
I'm
French.
sure he does.
If you're on
he-
Groupama
is
and
he
you speak
S-
French, you're
Is
basically
he Swiss
French,
German
aren't
or
you?
Swiss French?
He is Swiss German, I believe, based on his
Kung.
German last name.
Yeah,
That was a
But
very good
Stefan-
point.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like it's like 5 miles apart from each other. He could move.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We listeners will now realize we obviously have no idea. We're just
I don't think I'm trying to remember if I've spoken to him.
I've spoke. He speaks
What-
really good
what's-
English.
Yeah, the problem is
He's
the
not-
accent
he's
doesn't
not-
sound particularly French
No,
or
'cause he's all
German.
Swiss.
Because he's on a
French team is what I was getting
still
at.
Swiss
Right,
to me.
Anyway.
So yeah, well,
We
French
got a little
Groupama needs to win some stuff. It's been a while.
Not Julian Alaphilippe.
No.
He hasn't even shown. Okay, he was actually okay this past weekend. He looked okay. Yeah.
Can we get
Screen's another one.
so there's two other members of the Escape Collective here.
Oh, yeah.
Can we get some left field picks from Jared and Joe?
I was just ordering beer, so I might have missed it, but Lawrence Pithy?
Yeah.
I just feel like Matt Denif would want me to say that.
I would like to say that I left Lawrence Pithy out of my Sanremo preview, and one of the commenters was Matt Denif. And that made me. I like Lawrence Pithy, but at that point, I'm like, well, I kind of don't want him to do well because then I'll look bad.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm going to go and upload
Wait, is that a
comment
thing
right
now?
now.
Are we supposed to aggressively comment on each
Yeah.
other's stories?
Have you not seen what I've been writing on
No.
Dane's stories? That's why I've still got a
Horrible
job.
stuff, heinous things.
It's not even relevant to the article
Yeah.
most of the time.
All right, Joe
a good pick.
Lindsay, Joe.
Well, Jared stole my Lawrence Pithy pick, so it's just like in the fantasy draft. All my guys except for Vanderpool. Yeah, I had to give Vanderpool. I'm going to go with a very left field pick of Tish Benut. And the
That's a
reason
good
that I'm
one.
going to go with Tish is because Visma has actually had a fairly good classic season thus far. It's just come mostly at the hands of some of their other riders. Obviously, had the win. What was it in E3? But then you had Jan Tratnik and Het Nieuwsblad. You had Matteo the other day. So everybody's going to be looking at Matteo. I think to lead that team. Tish is in excellent shape. He said the other day he feels a teeny little bit of guilt about the crash because he said he feels like when he stood up, that's when Van Aert crossed wheels with him. So that's I don't know. You put all that together, and if you want a left field pick, that's mine.
Can I present another option?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing Tom's down at all, but another, we've got Soudal Quickstep, which is the classics team, or it used to be anyway. Casper Asgreen looked pretty damn. I mean, he was on the front of the peloton, dragging it along and then leaving it behind when they left it all a bit too late last weekend against Wevelgem. So he's, it'd be great to see him. Obviously, He's won Tour of Flanders, and then he was very good at the last year's Tour, which was kind of his comeback after his massive crash, and that took a long time. But yeah, it'd be lovely if he was up there again. I think Alaphilippe is he's got the number one, but it's maybe alphabetical. I don't know. Asgreen.
My friends all use the little ghost emoji to refer to Casper Asgreen
man.
because of
That makes
Casper the
sense.
Friendly
Yeah.
Ghost, which I really like.
Okay.
I think I like Casper
I think we should all
Asgreen
do
as a
that.
human being.
That's
He's
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the leader or the number one on Astana's squad, Case Bowl, Cheese Bowl, the most unorthodox number one of a squad at the Tour of Flanders ever?
I think that actually might be a few of these teams that are alphabetical, although he is a valid leader.
He's a big guy. I mean, of all the
guy.
guys on
Yeah,
that
definitely.
team that doesn't have any real heavy hitters
Who else
here?
is on the Astana team for?
Well,
Let's
one of
find
them I
out.
think might not be turning up because he was one of the first into an
yeah,
ambulance on
Gazzoli.
Wednesday. Gazzoli.
I can tell you right now that I have not looked at the Astana Kazakhstan team.
Gleb
for
Sarif.
Yeah, I
Flanders.
think he is
Absolutely.
I honestly think he is a deserving number one on this team.
We got Cheeseball. We got
Gleb
some guy.
Sariste is bigger than Cheese Bowl. He is a
Gleb
big
but is he
guy.
better?
But he, and probably not better, but he does win sprints. But he's not. I'd be surprised if he wins.
Rudiger
Tour of
Selig, another
Flanders.
big lead out
Let's just
type
talk
guy.
about large men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Should
think?
we try and
Christoph,
find the biggest,
Christoph, where's
should we try and find
Ian?
the biggest man at the start of the Tour of Flanders?
Who is the biggest rider at the Tour of Flanders?
Yeah.
We should mention Alexander Kristoff, who's back again
Is this biggest
yeah.
rider based off of like the height on Pro Cycling Stats, or
And
the biggest
width.
rider off like we
Oh,
walk
no.
up to
We
you
bring
and
a
you're like
scale.
you're large?
Who
It's the most
feels the
uncycling
biggest?
cyclist.
Who feel? Oh.
Yeah,
We'll put that in
stand
Escape.
underneath them.
That's going in Escape After Dark. We'll tell you in Escape After Dark who
Yes,
the
I
largest.
think that could be an article.
To your point,
largest rider is.
Kit, yes, Alexander Kristoff is here, and yes, he has won before. I would think that Uno X has other riders that might be even more
Are
likely
you
than
talking
him.
Jonas Abrahamson?
Yeah, he's looked really good.
Came second after being in the breakaway on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean,
That was pretty impressive.
This team they've come pretty close quite often in the past couple of weeks.
They are coming into their own.
Yeah.
They're looking good.
Do you want a big man fact or big
From
man
the big
rumor?
man
A big
in the
man
room.
rumor.
Ooh, rumor.
So there is
Even better than
there's
big
a
man
big
fact.
rider on the start list who apparently every year they increase his height by 0.01 centimeters so that he can have a more aero position, and they just do it by one every year so they get away with it. Oh, that's good.
Guess
That's
who?
actually that's some
That's juicy.
That's some
That's a
Ronan
juicy
stuff right
tidbit.
there.
Yeah.
Ronan, who will be here in about 2 hours or so.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll be on some later podcasts. We're going to have a bunch of extra podcasts the next week, I should mention. I think I mentioned this on Placeholders.
People might have figured that
earlier
out
this
already.
week. Yeah, this is a special episode. We've got more coming next week. All right, so we've all got our left field picks. I think our center field picks, our pitcher picks. I don't catcher picks,
Shortstop or center?
Shortstop.
Those
Shortstop
are your-
picks.
those are big
Shohei
heavy
Ohtani
hitters.
picks. Is that his name?
You're
guy-
really
Yeah,
out of the park. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that the end of baseball talk?
He's currently is he gambling or something. Anyway,
Yeah, it's really good.
Can After Dark just be baseball talk? Is that
so we are going to end the episode there. We hope that you did enjoy our little slightly rambly preview of the Tour of Flanders. We'll be back on Sunday after the race to talk through the racing. We cannot wait. I think we'll do a fair amount on both the men's and women's races on Sunday because they're both on Sunday. And then obviously Abby will go even deeper on the women's race a little bit later in the week. We'll also have a bunch of extra episodes next week, including we're going to do some live shows with our members that are here with us in Belgium this week, which we're very, very excited about.
They're going to be deeply disappointed to learn how the sausage is made.
I don't know, Jared.
Yeah, Jared's sitting over here.
Jared's quickly writing a resignation letter. I thought it was a very different operation here.
But now, I think it is time to head to Escape After Dark. So this is where we end the free version of this podcast. Of course, if you are a member and you're listening to the member feed, you get a bit more. What more will be today? I'm not exactly sure yet, but we're gonna keep chatting for a couple minutes. So thank you to everybody who listened up to this point, and if you're a member, keep hanging out, and we'll be back in a moment.